Hi, I'm Amara Wiley, and I am your guide to the road to happiness and prosperity. Today, we are doing a Miracle Monday. So I've been doing these on Facebook Live, but I'm switching platforms. So here's my first Miracle Monday on YouTube. So what I wanted to talk about today is the idea that my car is my greatest teacher. And I've talked about this other times, but my car is my greatest teacher. And I might at some point do a feng shui discussion about how your car and your energy can be connected, just like your home and your energy can be connected. You can use the way your car is placed and the stuff in it to affect your energy. But today we're just going to talk about a story, a sort of drama that occurred in the last week or so that involved my car and how I learned from it. So part of it is how you speak about what is going on with you and think about how what is going on with you creates the reality of what's going on with you. So a couple weeks ago, I was on my way back from Maine with my two boys, and I got in from Maine to New Hampshire, and I have a Prius, and the big red triangle with the big red exclamation mark and a whole bunch of other warning lights came on the dashboard, which always freaks me out because there's just a lot of lights, and you kind of think, oh, red exclamation mark, that must be important. So the last time that happened, I needed a new hybrid battery, and I wasn't really sure what was happening, but I knew the last time it had happened, I could drive a little bit before everything stopped. And so I decided I would at least get off the highway at the next exit and see if I could find a garage or somebody. Now, it was a Saturday and I wasn't really sure whether anyone would be open, but we figured we'd give it a shot. So we pulled off the road and figured out where to go and got directed to a Toyota dealership nearby. Got back on the road, back roads, and drove to the dealership, and then sat there for an hour and a half while they looked at the car and determined that probably it was something having to do with the throttle and maybe not an emergency, and that probably because it cleared all of the lights that I'd be able to drive back to New Jersey without having to get it fixed right then. So got back on the road, and I was a little nervous because of the red exclamation mark, but I was sort of determined it's going to be okay. So that's one of my mantras, everything's okay, it's all going to be okay, nothing bad needs to happen right now, we're good. So we got back to New Jersey, and I kind of ignored it because it wasn't acting up, the lights didn't come back on, and I did a lot of driving the week I was home. And then I was by myself and driving to go have dinner with a friend at her house, and the lights came back on, and I was driving on the highway and my car started decelerating. So I got over to the right, and I was still going maybe somewhere between 40 and 50. So I had just passed an exit, but there was another exit about a mile away, got off the exit, and I stopped at the light at the end of the exit, and my car stopped working. It just stopped. But luckily it was a 2-lane exit, so I just waved people around me. And this is the first part of what my teaching is, that I'm thinking of myself as lucky, not, oh my God, everything's messed up, but oh, I'm lucky I got off the exit. Oh, I'm lucky that it was a 2-lane highway. And then I managed to restart the car, and I pulled off into a service center and called my boyfriend and my friend, and I was very rattled because that red exclamation mark gets me every time. And it was about 6 miles from her house, and I was like, my boyfriend said, oh, I'll come get you. And I said, let me see if I can make it, because at least we'll have the car somewhere not in the middle of nowhere. And so I drove the 6 miles. It crapped out again twice, but I stayed to the right. I was taking back roads, and I was able to restart it both times. So I got to her house, and then I walked in, and her husband said, "So what's the plan?" And I was like, "I don't know." I'm completely rattled. I don't know what the plan is. And he said, "Okay, well, you're going to take it to my service station. It's two miles away. Or, I'm going to lend you my daughter's car, which is great, because then you can take her car halfway to her house, which is where you live, and then she can come and switch because she has my car, and we can, then you can bring your car back here when you come back in a couple days." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So it worked out great for him, and I got to use his car for a couple days while I was sorting out the car thing. And so in my story, so then I'm trying to, so I'm like, okay, great. I have AAA, but I only have AAA towing for 5 miles. So I'm going to upgrade my AAA so I can get the car towed from my friend's house to first I tried their garage, which they were charging twice as much as what the dealership in New Hampshire was charging. So I thought, okay, I think I can do better than this. So I was going to have the car towed, but then that it was like a 7-day turnaround to get the car, the upgrade to happen. So it would have cost me $100 to tow my car. I was like, I don't think I can. I can do better than that. So so I turned the car on, and the lights were all off again, and I was like, I bet I could make it from my friend's house to where the garage near me is. So I took all back roads, and I was like thinking, okay, well, here's my backup plan. Okay, if I drive 5 miles, I'm sort of near a friend's house, I could get a towed there. And then if I get 5 miles farther, I'm near this other friend's house, I could get a towed there. And I was like, I do not need to control where what's going on. It's just all going to be okay. I don't need to have a plan and a backup plan and a backup plan to my backup plan, which is generally the way I have operated through most of my life. But that need to control the situation is part of how I'm not letting, the divine buzz take over and just sort it out for me. So I laughed at myself. And I know it's going to be fine. It's just going to get to the garage. So I drove the car to the garage, and I took back roads. Everything was fine. The lights didn't come back on. The car didn't decelerate. I got it to the other garage, and it was fine. And I then drove my I was able to switch cars, and that all worked out, and give the car back to my friend's husband that he wanted his car, switching it with his daughter. So everybody's little story is working out. And I had to borrow my boyfriend's car for a day, but that was fine. And I could have complained about that because he doesn't have air conditioning and it was hot, but I left early in the morning to go where I needed to go, and it was cool, and I sweated a little bit on the way back, but I was very grateful for having, a car. I didn't have to rent a car. And so I kind of just, I approached this whole situation with how lucky I was and how grateful I was. And in the end, the cost of the car was basically what they said in New Hampshire, and it was just fine. And I got my car back, and it's all worked out. So what my little Miracle Monday story is that we can address the world through gratitude no matter what's happening, and be grateful for where we are, even if it looks like we're in the middle of a big scary drama with the big red exclamation mark. The big red exclamation mark doesn't always mean what we think it's going to mean, impending or immediate doom. And we can think of ourselves as lucky and that everything just works out. And the more we think of that, the more we're able to have that happen. So I've been enjoying watching a television show that talks about how angels are self-actualized. This is, fiction, but and so I invite us to think of ourselves as self-actualized also, which means that um, that we are responsible for whatever is happening in our lives. And that can be rough to take on if what's happening in your life looks like a bunch of red exclamation marks. But if you can start seeing it as you have the power, you have the, you know, the magical ability to think yourself into paradise, to think yourself into a lucky situation where everything just miraculously works out, then it does. So I hope that you enjoyed my lengthy car story, and I love you and I bless you with my holiness.